Listen, we all know at the latter part of yesterday's program that our friend Danny Francis noticed that on top breaking news on Newzjunky spell of thebigfatz.com that former councilman and a well-known businessman to the community, very benevolent to the youth services of Northern New York, the sporting programs like baseball, and recently one of the people that we know as one of the street people that we know out and about on that tricycle was stolen. Paul Simmons came to his aid. He's also been in the news, of course, for the big concert that was literally moved from the fairgrounds address up to LaFarsville, New York, for the Godsend Act. And, of course, last night he shocked everybody, and I mean everyone, with the announcement that the Wizards were now for sale. Now, without having read anything about what Councilwoman Burns had to say about the Wizards being up for sale, I'm going to read it like I'm a virgin. I'm going to be just like Madonna right now, like a virgin. All right, this is what she said, and perhaps you've seen this already. In light of yesterday's announcement by Paul Simmons, Roxanne says, owner of the Wizards baseball team and partner in AMP Entertainment, I feel it's necessary that a factual account of events leading to that announcement were brought to light. At the urging of Councilman Jeffrey Smith, wow, I got all types of feedback. Is Q in the room for some reason? It's driving me crazy. At the urging of Councilman Jeffrey Smith, the City of Watertown Council made the unanimous decision to no longer grant the exclusive rights to the beer concessions to Mr. Simmons for concerts and other events occurring at the fairgrounds. The council has been approached by other entities using the facilities regarding the granting of exclusive rights at a city-owned facility. Well, for instance, they had the MMA event the other night, but they requested a beer license, but they did not get it from Mary. The city manager. For example, the not-for-profit Disabled Persons Action Organization that has been bringing concerts to Watertown for many years would invest thousands of dollars to advertise the event, only to have Mr. Simmons reap the benefit of the concession sales. At no time has the city done anything to take baseball away from Watertown, as some critics have stated. The Wizards are welcome to lease these fields, locker rooms, and office as in the past. If Mr. Simmons and the Wizards are truly about baseball, nothing has changed. If the Wizards are about making money at concerts, that has nothing to do with the baseball. Let's not muddy the waters, she says. This is Councilman Burns. The bottom line is this. The fairgrounds is a public facility and is wrong for any one person to have a monopoly on the concession rights. So says our councilperson, one of which, Roxanne Burns. Well, there you have it. Again, perhaps you have read about it. We all know about the issue. It's somewhat complex because, as Roxanne states, it's not necessarily just about baseball, but of course what former councilperson Paul Simmons is suggesting is that the city is not being fair to him, and that the city at this juncture is taking baseball away from you. So I could see, a legitimate response, no question, well written, and very timely. What say you? 755-1240. 755-1240 is the number at any given time. Of course, earlier, as I said over the intro, I understand that Joe Brosk had one heck of an argument with Middle-Class Mike. And unlike Middle-Class Mike being hung up on by your so-called host for being rude on occasions, and I'm talking about myself, it was the other end. It was actually Middle-Class Mike hanging up on Joe Brosk. Go figure. I want to find out more about that, and, of course, your comments about what's going on at the fairgrounds. We got a couple people on the phones. Let's go and see who this is. Is this Middle-Class Mike?
Hey, Glenn. It's Middle-Class Mike. How you doing?
Good. What do you want to comment on? What Roxanne said or what happened today?
I'm glad you read that, the Newzjunky piece from Ms. Burns. There's a big difference between granting exclusivity to the Wizards and Paul Simmons versus what happened in the delaying of the proper support to see that the Godsmack concert could come here.
Yeah.
And along with that, this man has worked for 11 years to give this city baseball, to give us something in the summer.
Right.
I'm not saying he demanded exclusive consideration, should have just been handed a contract, but somebody could have gone a little way out of the way to see that, hey, they could get that concert in, they could handle it the way they said they could handle it, and to show this guy that, hey, we appreciate you. You're a valuable resource to our community. You make our life better. I don't think they attempted to do that, and I believe that's where Mr. Smith says the city is lacking in leadership. They're not business-friendly. They're hostile. I was at that council meeting, and I saw people speaking to that group at that time, and that's when the mutterings about, hey, well, there were different class of people, that was said. They've denied it was said. It was said, and people heard it.
Right.
And I just don't think this guy got a fair deal.
All right. Well, can I be the devil's advocate here?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, for example, from what Roxanne says, I was going to say Roseanne Barr here. I'm sorry, there's no affiliation, and I don't even know why that came to my mind. It's not even close. Roxanne is a lot hotter than Roseanne Barr. Just for the record, I don't know why I said that. But anyway, what Roxanne says is, for example, the non-for-profit disabled that has been bringing concerts to Watertown for many years would invest thousands of dollars to advertise the event, only to have Mr. Simmons reap the benefits of the concession sales. I mean, again, being the devil's advocate, wait, hold up. Does that sound fair to you?
Well, what doesn't it put like that doesn't sound fair. But here's the point: that it had been established that they could not manage these events without help. Simmons stepped in and often was needed to make things happen. Okay, so he was a facilitator. So when the Parks and Recreations thing came up, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but just from standing aside and watching him in action, I felt he was trying to step forward to lend a note of business acumen to a chaotic situation. He was trying to be helpful. And yes, he's a businessman. And I'm not going to stand here and say he doesn't have a right to earn a profit. Okay, maybe he doesn't get exclusivity, but he should be respected for being able to manage events on a per-event basis as long as that's how you're handling events. Now, they've got this management team that they're going to bring in for next year. They're being pretty darn slow about that. They've already blown the Godsmack event. They're just a mess down there. I'll tell you, I want a whole new approach to business in this town.
All right. Well, here's what I have to say. And again, I think this makes a lot of sense. And this is in no way defensive of Paul, but it certainly will sound this way, and I'll explain. If this were the case, as written by Roxanne Burns in this letter, and it's a very well-written letter, why is this all of a sudden coming up at the busiest time of year for all of our concerts? Why is it that you all of a sudden have a problem with him reaping the benefits of a concession stand? Wouldn't it be? Shouldn't they have known about this?
Such an on-the-nose assessment. It's my assessment as well. I mean, you're right there. Why now? Why is this guy being treated like, if I can use a literature kind of thing, an enemy of the state?
He's been ostracized.
Nothing but a positive influence in this community.
Well, yeah, but again, from the looks of it, it does seem unfair, being the devil's advocate. But, Joe Rich spends a lot of money, and Paul reaps the benefits from the beer sales, $55,000 apparently.
The guy turned around $250,000.
That was total sales.
20,000 tickets and different donations to
No, but you see what I'm talking about, though, middle-class Mike. I mean, there's an argument on both sides. But regardless, why are we talking about this in the middle of the
profit-grubbing guy? You know what I mean? He gives back to the community.
Well, there you go. That's a good way of putting it. But I'm looking at the logistics of this. Well, thank you, middle class. Wait. Before you go, what happened between you and Joe? You want to talk about it?
No, nothing. Joe had some technical problems with his earphones. I was talking. He was talking. The truth of the matter is, I was just trying to make it clear to him what I stated here, which is it's a totally different thing when you imply to Little Q, he had an extended conversation with him, that it wasn't a leadership problem. Everybody was in agreement. They were trying to merge this idea that Jeff Smith, because he didn't want to grant exclusivity rights to any one vendor, was by no means not put off by the mishandling of the Godsmack concert. And that's just the plain fabrication on their part.
By the way, where are you calling from? The middle of Route 81 or something?
No, sometimes I step out into my yard and want some fresh air. Are you hearing traffic?
Yeah, is your house on 81?
It's on 126.
Oh, okay. Wow, it just sounds like
You know what it is? It's the moisture on the road. It carries a long way. I'm way in the back of my house. I'm way off.
Jeez, it sounds like you're in the middle. All right, listen, thank you very much for your assessments, and we appreciate once again Middle Class Mike for his phone call and his comments here on the Live at 5 show, 755-1240. Well, there you have it. I mean, there's two sides of the story, but something like this, I guess the city's decided to play hardball right in the middle of the concert season. Now, and as far as the Wizards are concerned, the end of their season is happening now. But can you blame Paul for wanting to sell the team? Certainly his profit margin's been cut in half. But the bottom line is, again, you got to ask the question. This goes way back to the problem we had in this past spring with the lack of their what we've been calling leadership in the city here with regards to who's running the ship. All right, so Paul's been reaping the benefits, and where were you when he started doing this? That would be the obvious question. Having said that, you bring Joe Rich into the equation, or anyone else that wants to put an event out there, and it doesn't seem to be fair for someone to advertise aggressively and then, have the profits given from the beverages there given to Paul. So there's many different ways of looking at it. But why now, I guess, is my question. 755-1240. Hi, who's this?